ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। शीन्वितं स्वकथा कृष्णा पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः हृदयन्तस्थो हि अभद्राणि विदुनोति सुहृत्सतम् नस्तप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवते उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैस्तिकी. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 26, verse 17 and 18. Verse 17. Rama Vacha Naranatana Janimas त्वत्प्रियायाद्व्यवसति भूतले निरवस्तरे शयनं पश्य शत्रुहन्. Synonyms: Ramacha, the woman that spoke; Naranatha, O king; Najanimaha, we do not know; Tvatpriya, your beloved; Yat Vyavashyati, why she has taken to this sort of life; Bhutale, on the ground; Nirvastare, without bedding; Shayanam, laying down; Pasya, look; Shashruhan, O killer of the enemies. Translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. In this material world, there are different types of achievements. Sorry, I think.
It's on the screen.
All the woman, all the woman, all the woman address the king, O master of the citizens. We do not know why your dear wife has taken on this sort of existence. O killer of the enemies, kindly look. She is lying on the ground without bedding. We cannot understand why she is acting this way. Purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. When a person is devoid of devotional service or Vishnu Bhakti, he takes to many sinful activities. King Puranjana left the home, neglected his own wife, and engaged himself in killing animals. This is the position of all materialistic men. They do not care for a married, chaste wife. They take the wife only as an instrument for sense enjoyment, not as a means for devotional service. To have unrestricted sex life, the Kamis work very hard. They have concluded that the best course is to have sex with any woman and simply pay the price for her, as though she were a mercantile commodity. Thus, they engage their energy in working very hard for such material acquisitions. Such materialistic people have lost their good intelligence. They must search out their intelligence within the heart. A person who does not have a chaste wife accepted by the religious principles always has a bewildered intelligence. The wife of King Puranjana was lying on the ground because she was neglected by her husband. Actually, the woman must always be protected by her husband. We always speak of the goddess of fortune as being placed on the chest of Narayana. In other words, the wife must remain embraced by her husband. Thus, she becomes beloved and well protected. Just as one saves his money and places it under his own personal protection, one should similarly protect his wife by his own personal supervision. Just as intelligence is always within the heart, so a beloved chaste wife should always have her place on the chest of a good husband. This is the proper relationship between a husband and woman and wife. A wife, therefore, called Ardhangi or a half of the body. One cannot remain with only one leg, one hand, or only one side of the body. He must have two sides. Similarly, according to nature's way, husband and wife should live together. In the lower species of life among birds and animals, it is seen that by nature's arrangement, the husband and wife live together. It is similarly ideal in human life for the husband and wife to live together. The home should be a place for a devotional service, and the wife should be chaste and accepted by a ritualistic ceremony. In this way, one becomes happy at home. Verse 18th. Narada Uvacha Puranjanah Swam Mahisham Niriksha Avadutam Bhuvi Tat Sango Matitagnano Vaikalyavyam Paramam Yayo. Synonyms by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Narada Uvacha, the great sage Narada spoke. Puranjanaha, King Puranjana, Swamahisham, his own queen, Niriksha, after seeing, Avadutam, accepting like a mendicant, Bhuvi, on the ground, Tat, her, Sangha, by association, Unmatita, encouraged, Gnanaha, whose knowledge, Vaikalyavyam, bewilderment, Paramam, supreme, Yayav, obtained. Translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. The great sage Narada continued, My dear king, Prachinabarhi, as soon as King Puranjana saw his queen lying on the ground, appearing like a mendicant, he immediately became bewildered. Purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. In this word, the Avadutam is specially significant, for it refers to a mendicant who does not take care of his body. Since the queen was lying on the ground without bedding and proper dress, the king Puranjana became very much aggrieved. In other words, he repented that he had neglected his intelligence and had engaged himself in the forest in killing animals. In other words, when one's good intelligence is separated or neglected, he fully engages in sinful activities. Due to neglecting one's good intelligence or Krishna consciousness, one becomes bewildered and engages in sinful activities. Upon realizing this, a man becomes a repentant. Such repentance is described by Narottama Das Thakura. Harihara Vipale Janama Gunainu Manushya Janma Paya Radha Krishnanha Bhajiya Janiya Suniya Vishakainau. Narottama Das Thakura herein says that he repents for having spoiled his human life and knowingly drunk poison by not being Krishna conscious. One willingly drinks the poison of material life. The purport is that one certainly becomes addicted to sinful activities when he becomes devoid of his good chaste wife or when he has lost his good sense and does not take to Krishna consciousness. नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमति भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तविंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे. I would like to seek blessing from all the assembled Vaishnavas and thank you for an opportunity to purify myself. Please forgive me for any shortcomings. So we are in the fourth canto, the creation of the fourth order chapter. The Puranjana goes to the forest to hunt and his queen becomes angry. So here Narada is explaining to Prachina Barhi about the Puranjana going to the forest, describes the chariot, and he described the chariot. Just I'm giving the preface of this one, what happened in the recent verses. So how the chariot is equipped with the different arrows and how it was built. So he narrates all these things in this starting of this section. It was almost, he was explaining that it was almost impossible for King Puranjana to give up the company of his queen even for a moment. Nonetheless, on that day, being very much inspired by the desire to hunt, he took up his bow and arrow with great pride and went to forest, not caring for his wife. His heart became very hard and merciless, and with sharp arrows he killed many innocent animals. Then Narada talks about reactions of unnecessary killing, and then he talks about Puranjana, what he did when he came back home. So he had a dinner, and at night he was looking for association of his wife and asks about whereabouts. And in this verse, the woman servants of the king said, "The queen is lying on the bed, on the ground without the bed," and they expressed concern that why she is doing this. So here in this verse, Prabhupada talks about that person intelligence will be bewildered who does not care for his own wife. When this happens, the person behaves more materialistic and moves away from the devotional service. Prabhupada makes a strong argument that most of the men who goes behind the money and the material things, their mindset is different. They think woman as a pleasure-giving toy. When they have this kind of a mindset, they are not satisfied with one woman. They keep hunting the married and unmarried women with their money, status, and power. And this is very true. We all know that Jeffrey Epstein, what he did. He's a wealthy financier who was a convicted a sex offender and accused of sex trafficking young women and girls as young as 14. Many rich people and politicians are involved in this. So Prabhupada is emphasizing that a person who is in Krishna conscious does not do any sinful activity because his intelligence is preserved and both husband and wife will cooperate well and help each other in improving the spiritual sadhana. If you are devoid of the Krishna consciousness, you become more materialistic, and when you become more materialistic, your intelligence will be bewildered, and then you do so many sinful activities. And Prabhupada further emphasizes how one has to take care of their beloved wife. Wife should be never neglected and should never use and we should never use any harsh words towards her. One has to think wife as a goddess of fortune living in the home and should be treated according to the high standards how we worship Lakshmi Devi. And most of the time we have a great respect between wife and husband before the marriage, and after that slowly the respect will be diluted naturally because there may be a small differences in opinion as the two people living together. Then they start disrespecting each other, calling them harsh words, and pointing out their mistakes. So one should understand first that no one is perfect in this world. If we were perfect, we should have not taken the birth on this planet. Keeping this in mind, one should have a forgiving heart. People who are not in Krishna conscious are too materialistic. They don't give values to the relationships and bondage, and instead they give importance in making mean, and thinking that everything fall in place if you have the money. But thinking like this is a myth. One should know these facts in the early stages of the life so that they can correct their life. Money does not give everything and it cannot provide everything.
That doesn't mean that we don't need to make money. We all need some money to maintain our family, pay the bills, and pay college fees. One should not over endeavor in making money at the cost of his family relationships and bondage. And this was very clearly emphasized in Nectar of Devotion. Atyahara prayaschacha prajalpo nijamagraha jana sangaha cha laulyam cha shabdair bhaktir vinashyati. One's devotional service is spoiled when he becomes too entangled in the following six activities: eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required, over endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain, talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters, practicing the spiritual rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not to sake of spiritual advancement, or rejecting the rules and regulations of the scriptures and working independently or whimsically, associating with worldly minded people who are not interested in Krishna consciousness. And the last one is being greedy for mundane achievements. And Prabhupada further emphasizes that the wife is called Ardhangi in this purport, or half of the body. So you have to take care well as if it is two hands of the body. You have to take care of the wife like that. You look equally on your body parts. If any body parts has a problem, you go and see the doctor, and you don't have any partiality because both are yours. And one should have the similar mindset in treating their own wife. And coming to the verse 17, it talks about how King Puranjana got bewildered seeing his wife lying on the ground. Here Prabhupada again talks about importance of Krishna conscious. When one's good intelligence is separated or neglected, he fully engages in sinful activities. Narottama Dasa song additionally emphasizes that working for material gains is nothing but drinking a pot of poison for our own destruction. He repents why I was wasted my time in material things. If Narottama Dasa is saying that and he is repenting for small material activities that he performed, then what should we think of what we are doing? So, in summary, the two verses emphasizes how to take care of the child's wife, what level of importance one should give, and how to treat her to keep the family happy. One should be always in Krishna consciousness, and if you move away, Maya will attack, and this will lead to bewilderment of knowledge. Once the knowledge is lost, the people will behave demonic and leads to a downfall. So the purpose of life is to progress in the Krishna consciousness. We need to be cautious of our mind. Sometimes mind will tell what is wrong in making more money. I'm already in Krishna consciousness and I go every week temple and I make charity multiple times a year. So the intention should be clear. Intentions are more important. If you are working hard to get more money and to spend on devotee welfare or temple construction, yes, one can go for an extra mile to make the money or any advancement in material things. But if your mind is tricking to make you more successful in material under the charity, one should keep a check because Krishna will be achieved only by unflinching bhakti. There are multiple places in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna emphasizes the importance of unwavering faith and devotion. In Bhagavad Gita 18.66, he says, abandon all varieties of dharmas and simply surrender unto me alone. I shall liberate you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. And in another place, Bhagavad Gita 12.2, Krishna confirms that those whose minds are fixed on his personal form and who worship him with great faith are considered to be the most perfect. And in another place, Bhagavad Gita 9:30, even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated in his determination. So we have to be always in Krishna consciousness so that we don't fall into the trap of Maya. That was the main conclusion here in these two verses. So with this I conclude. Vancha kalpyatarubhacha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Siva